Hello, everybody. Jerry here. So I just finished reading this, Phantoms in the Brain, and this was written about almost 25 years ago. So I was curious as to how our scientists, I shouldn't say our, I'm not a scientist, but how scientists, how much more understanding scientists have of the human brain. And so after I read that book, which the author of that book, he talks about Phantom of the Brain is kind of things about our brain that we have absolutely no control over. And maybe even sometimes we think we might have control, but we absolutely don't. And a good example is the first couple chapters in that book talk about phantom limbs. And I have a phantom limb. I'm a below knee amputee of my right leg. There you go. Anyway, so I know what it feels like to that my brain thinks. Now, I had my amputee in 2018. That's almost 10 years, 8 years ago. So, I know what it's like to be an amputee. And if you're not an amputee, you have no idea. And I know it also means to have a phantom limb, meaning that my brain still thinks that I have a leg. So what that means when I'm wearing my prosthetic like I am right now, I can wiggle my toes. Like I can send my brain to wiggle my toe. And sometimes my I feel like right now at this very moment, I feel a throbbing in my ankle. It doesn't hurt, but it's a throb. It's like a heartbeat almost. It's weird. So that's what this guy, this author, scientist, psychiatrist talks about phantoms of the brain. And he also gets into how people suffer brain trauma and talks about a woman who thought she went into labor. So she goes to the hospital and she clearly looked pregnant. They did a sonogram and found that she wasn't pregnant at all. That she convinced herself that she was through her brain. And she was bulging. She was lactating. Her breasts got bigger. She had every sign that she was pregnant, but she wasn't. It was a phantom in the brain. And this is documented stuff. So it's real. And so many other things like there was a kid who was in a car accident and he he had brain trauma and everything, and every other way he was healed, but he thought his parents were imposters. They were people who looked exactly like his parents, but they were imposters. They weren't his real parents. And he wasn't like these people were taking care of him. But to him, his parents were someplace else, and these people who looked just like his parents, like in pictures, but he was absolutely convinced that these nice people that were taking care of him, looking after him, who looked just like his parents, were not actually his parents. And that could be heart wrenching for a parent to hear. So that's the phantom in the brain. And this guy sort of gets into like finding out your true self, who you really are inside. And as I've maybe read a little bit more and researched a little bit more and studied a little bit more and got really passionate about learning certain things, I've understood that what the human mind is actually capable of, and it's fascinating. It's one of the most misunderstood um, we have such a misunderstanding of our own brains. And the smartest people who study these things admit that we don't understand what like why we do the things that we do, and things that we don't even realize we're doing. And it's like, thank God, we don't have to remind ourselves to breathe. We just breathe. That's part of our unconscious. Our brain handles that for us, to breathe. So we don't have to think, okay, I have to breathe in this oxygen that's in the air, and breathe it into my lungs so it goes into my cells and whatever it is the body does, and then breathe out carbon dioxide and all this stuff. Thank God we don't have to think about that. Our brain takes care of that for us. And thank goodness for that. So stuff like that, the unconscious. And then how we shit's amazing, man. I love talking about this stuff. If I'm boring you, I apologize, but I find this stuff fascinating. So how we change who we are based on our environment. And that could be other people. We could act some way with one person, another way with somebody else, and we don't even realize we're doing it. We change who we are based on our environment. In a lot of ways, we don't even want to think that we do that, but trust me, we do. And so that book was written almost 25 years ago, what I just showed you. I was curious as to, in 25 years, how much we've learned, or science has taught us about the human brain. And the one thing that I think they've come up with is the plasticity of the human brain. And what that means, plasticity means that, I mean, we know what plastic is. This is plastic. But plasticity means that something could, as a verb, that something can be molded into something else. And the word plastic was a word before it became what we know it today as a substance or an object, like a plastic bottle. I mean, you can read philosophy going back, 1,000 years ago, when they talk about plasticity. So, it's like, I think that, from what I understand, that the plasticity of the human brain, meaning that we can rewire our brains to become better at something, but sometimes we get in our own way, and we get in our own way by this. We decide we want to do something, to try something, and then realize we're not that good at it. So rather than go through the frustration of fighting our own brain, fighting our own thoughts, and I'm going to call that a gremlin. There's a gremlin inside of us that's trying to yank us back into comfort and say, "What are you doing? No, this isn't comfortable." Or that person's a threat, so you got to stay away. All this stuff that wants to protect us, parts of us that want to protect us, that want to keep us safe and keep us grounded and keep us from going into chaos and unknown territory, and where snakes and dragons live, that want to fight us. But man, that's where the gold is. That's where the opportunity is. And it's the plasticity of our brain that says, what are you doing? We've never done this before. Why are you doing this? And you keep doing it and think, as long as I keep doing this, because I know what it is I want that prize that my subconscious mind can't see. It can't see it because it's new. You haven't put that in there yet. Your eyes see it. Your eyes see your goal. You can envision your goal, but a different part of that brain is saying, the deepest part, the primitive part, is saying, no, this is dangerous. I got to keep you safe. And alarms go off and try to pull us out of that discomfort and back into comfort. And that's the plasticity. And as long as you keep repetitive, keep doing the same thing over and over, then these parts of your brain are going to get it, and then it's going to start to register. And it ain't that great, man. So just keep that repetition. That's key. Keep doing the same thing every single day until it becomes repetitious, it becomes habit, and then it becomes a part of who you are. And that's what I've learned. And that's what I like to talk about. I love talking about this stuff. So that's that's the our plastic brain, this 3-pound lump that's sitting on the top of our head. And then what I also learned is like our nervous system is our brain is only part of our nervous system. Then you got the spinal cord, then you got everything the spinal cord's connected to, and all the little electronic things that popping and going on. And it's like, when we have goals, or these primitive parts of us want to pull that into that comfort, like I was talking about before. But it's important to have these goals and to internalize them first, research them, study them, and don't even talk about it yet. I wasn't talking about reassurance consulting for a really long time when I was building it. I was I was building it, but I was sort of doing it on my own and doing a lot of research and making a lot of mistakes and stuff. And I feel like I'm in a good place now. I got a long way to go, but I feel like I've learned a lot. And so plastic, man, the plasticity of the brain, and that's what I was watching YouTube videos about the brain. And these are new. This is new stuff that we're learning, and there's a long way to go. There's so much more to learn. But one thing I like to say, like our brain compared to other species, other animals and stuff like that. I remember this is wild, man. I remember watching a a video of a lion. I'm sorry, a zebra that was getting eaten alive by a lion pride. That a bunch of these lions are feeding on the zebra while it's still alive. And you know what the zebra was doing? At first, it was kind of defending itself, even though its legs were getting mauled. It was getting mauled from the back forward. It was trying to defend itself by biting, trying to bite the lions that were feeding on it. And then when it realized that wasn't working, you know what it did? It started grazing. It started eating grass. So it's like that was weird. And I'm watching this thing eating grass as it's getting eaten. I, I think that's sort of like a little bit of a difference between the zebra's mind and our mind. Any other animals' minds aren't plastic. They don't have that plasticity that they call it. They can't plan for the future and learn from the past. It's only like right now. So we can plan for the future and learn from the past. You don't live in the past, but you learn from the past. You make mistakes. So and that's the same thing with, I believe, every other species that has ever inhabited planet Earth. What sets us apart is planning for the future and learning from the past. And isn't that great, man? All right, that's awesome. And 4th of July coming up next weekend, Independence Day, 250 years. I just want to show a book that I read a few years ago, 1776, by David McCullough. This is a fantastic book. It's obviously the Revolutionary War and the events that led up to the Revolutionary War, when the colonies, what talk was about our independence. So it all started here. So I would highly, highly recommend this book, David McCullough. And ain't it great? So, all right, that's it. I will update on upcoming backpacking trips. this week. So stay tuned for that. And stay safe. And hot weather coming, at least upstate New York. So stay safe. Enjoy the 4th of July weekend. I will post in between then and now. So, but anyway, all right. Love you and God bless. All right.